A very good morning to all my dear students. Welcome back to English class. Hope you all are fine. And today we'll be continuing with the chapter Galileo. Hope you remember what we studied in the previous class. Let's have a recapitulation. Okay, so what did we learn first? We learned about heavenly bodies like the sun, the moon, all those come under heavenly bodies. Meteors, asteroids, all those are heavenly bodies. Okay, next we understood what is astronomy, study of celestial bodies. Heavenly bodies is also called as celestial objects. Okay, so study of celestial objects, space, and the physical universe is called as astronomy. Okay, we got to know a new word. And then what did we understand? We understood that, the sun is at the center and all the other planets are revolving around the sun. Okay, and who is the famous person who found this? Galileo. Galilei, what's his full name? Galileo Galilei, and he was born in the year 1564. Right? Then what did we learn next? We understood that there was a person called Hans Lippershey in the year 1605. He had invented means made a new, brought into established, or he developed a first time he developed a telescope. Hans Lippershey in the year 1608. He is the first person to invent telescope. And inspired by this, what happened? Galileo made a telescope for his own convenience. He developed a telescope for himself. And Galileo is the next main person who has developed a telescope. And what did he find from it? He understood that Earth has irregular portions like, the mountains and the valleys like on the earth. This is the earth and this is the surface of the moon. It is not like how we see like a round bright ball, but it has uneven surfaces like the mountains and the valleys like how we see on earth. Okay, and the next thing, what did he do? He was very happy with his telescope and he took it to Venice, and the ruler of Venice appointed Galileo as a professor at Padua. So these are the topics we covered in the last session. Did you all get a brush up of the last session, children? Cool. Now let's move on to the next paragraph. Please look into your book on the screen carefully. I'll be reading out to you all. The first telescope that Galileo made magnified objects 3 times their size. Later, he made one that magnified them 8 times, but he went on making on larger and larger ones until he made a telescope which brought about 30 times nearer. What did he do first? He didn't stop with the first time. First, he made objects. Magnified means make a small object look bigger from very far, millions of very far. We can see objects which we can magnify. It means make it bigger, like how we see in a binocular. Okay, so first he made a telescope which is 3 times its size. And then what did he do? He again wanted to see little more clear and bigger. So he magnified it to 8 times. When you were in school, you would have seen the microscope, right? You can see the cells which is magnified. Similarly, even he made a telescope which is 8 times bigger size he could see. But then he was still not happy. He made a larger one which is 30 times bigger. Okay, that is how we magnified. So from 3 to 8 and 8 to 30. Clear? So this is how he made the telescope. Next paragraph. With the aid of this telescope, he made important discoveries about the heavenly bodies. He found that the planet Jupiter had little moons that revolved around it. We thought there's only one moon, right? But no. See, he found that Jupiter is the biggest planet. Okay, it's huge. It has the ability to swallow all the planets on Earth. It is that big, that massive. Okay, and it has little moons that revolve around it. He found that the sun had spots. These are the two main important discoveries that he had done. Okay, first one is that Jupiter has little moons, like you can see this, right? So this is the big huge planet Jupiter, and these are the little small moons around it. Next, what did he find? He found that the sun had spots on it and that the spots slowly moved across its face. See, I'll show you a picture. You can see this. These are the spots. Okay, this black spots, in a little better picture, you can see that there are black spots on it. And even those spots moved. He found from this that the sun like the earth spins round itself. Not only earth that spins, even the sun slowly spins. Okay, and the other important thing is that on Wednesday, that is 23rd December, you all are gonna have a virtual tour, okay, through Zoom. Okay, we'll have a Zoom meeting, and in that I will show you certain videos which will help you understand about how the moon revolves, or moves around the Jupiter, and about the sun. Okay, so you'll get a better understanding. So students, please be present for Zoom class. I won't be asking any questions, but it's just a virtual tour, like how we go to space. Okay, hope to see you all there. Did you all understand this paragraph, children? Remember this. The two important inventions are, discoveries are, the moon revolves around the Jupiter, and the next one, the sun has got spots, which even the spots slowly moves, and the sun moves around itself like the earth. Okay, so remember this. Even in question answers, this will be coming. Next, who's this person? It's Copernicus. Okay, so some 50 years earlier, a Polish astronomer called Copernicus had declared that the Earth was a planet like other planets, and that, like them, it revolved around the sun. Copernicus could not, however, prove this to the men of his day, and few people paid any great attention to his ideas. What happened? Before Galileo, there was another astronomer. This is the astronomer. I put a picture here. He's called Copernicus. Even he had found that. What did he find out? He found that Earth is a planet like other planets, and it revolved around the sun. Okay, he had found it, but it was very difficult for him to convey to other people. He couldn't convince the other people to believe this. Only Galileo took the next step and proved it right to the people. But Copernicus had already discovered it before. Next, the church had in those days a court called the Inquisition. What is Inquisition, children? It's an organization set up by the Roman Catholic Church to punish people who oppose its beliefs. So in before times, it's all religion, right? And in church, they had a particular religion. They were believing a certain thing. But so this Inquisition is like a code which decides whether people are believing or changing the belief of different people or not. Okay, so it's like an institution set up by Roman Catholic Church. Okay, so it's basically to judge people who oppose the belief of Christian methodology, which tried and punished those that it considered unbelievers. What is unbeliever? So if you do not believe in God, he's called as an unbeliever. So this is basically to judge, a court to judge unbelievers. Clear? Next, Galileo was asked to appear before his court. So I'll show you a picture. See, this is the court, and Galileo standing here. So there are so many rulers who said, the Christian church said, you need to appear, means you need to appear to the court, like how we have these criminals. What do? They go to high court, and there's so many courts, right? Similarly, here they told you are supposed to appear to the court. He was questioned about his beliefs and was asked to kneel and declare that he no longer believed that the earth moved round the sun. It was completely against the belief of the church. So what did they say? They said you should kneel and declare that earth moved, they no longer moved. You never believed that earth moved around the sun. That should be your belief. They ordered him to do so. What did he do then? He knew that if he refused to make his declaration, he might be put in prison and perhaps tortured. As he feared torture, Galileo obeyed their order. There is a story that as he rose from his knees after his public declaration, he whispered to himself, "But still it does move." The court declared Galileo not to teach his wicked ideas anymore. Okay, so what did they do? He was very scared. Galileo, obviously, Galileo will be scared, right? Because the majority of the people are against his belief. Okay, so they told you are supposed to kneel. If you're not doing it, what will they do? They'll put him to prison. And he was feared torture. What is the torture? That mental pressure, that hitting, beating, police people do, right? They hit and beat. That is called as a torture. So Galileo obeyed their order. And there's another story, an innocent story, which says as soon as he stood up after kneeling, he said, "But it still he does move," which means he still believed that earth revolves around the sun. He didn't change his belief just because the other people said. Okay, wicked ideas means wrong ideas or the bad ideas. Okay, according to previous people, they were thinking it's a bad idea. Next, but Galileo did not obey the church's order for long. He continued his studies and after a time started teaching his ideas again. So what did he do? For some time he kept quiet, and then again he started telling the same thing, that earth revolved around the sun. Besides, he wrote a book in which he criticized the old beliefs. He also wrote a book. Criticize means condemning, or telling that the old beliefs were wrong. Okay, you would have heard, right? There are so many social reformers, and social you would have studied. Similarly, he criticized the old belief. The olden beliefs means what old people were thinking. When the book came out, the Inquisition, what is an Inquisition again? The court which declares about unbelievers, right? The Inquisition once again ordered him to appear before it to be tried as a long non-believer. And finally, they marked Galileo as a non-believer, and he was sent to prison. See, there's a picture here where he's sent to prison. They completely declared that he's a non-believer and sent him to prison. But as he was now an old man, he was allowed to go home 20 days later. But he was just put in prison for how many days? 20 days. Why? Because he was old. The prison, the people thought that there's no point putting him in prison, and they let him free. So this is a mini story about Galileo. He's a famous astronomer. In the virtual class, we'll have a clear overview, clear idea about him once again. And this is the last paragraph. In the 20th century, several popes acknowledged the great work of Galileo, and in 1992, Pope John Paul II expressed regret about how the Galileo affair was handled. Okay, so and finally, in the 20th century, what happened? Popes. Who are the popes? Okay, so pope is the supremest power in Christianity. Okay, so popes, all the several popes acknowledged means approved the idea of Galileo. Okay, which means they believed that finally all the popes and the Christian, everyone believed that earth revolves around the sun. And in 1992, Pope John Paul II expressed regret about how the Galileo affairs were handled. Okay, affair was handled. So he says that he's regret means he's sorry about how Galileo was treated in the previous time. Okay, children, so this is the end of this chapter. Let's have a recapitulation of conclusion of whatever we learned in this class, just like in 2 minutes. So what's the first thing? He made a telescope. Galileo made a telescope which is 3 times bigger, and then it magnified objects 8 times magnified, and then the last was 30 times magnified. The objects were 30 times magnified through the telescope. Next, 2 important discoveries are, okay, the Jupiter. This is the Jupiter, which has small moons, little moons revolving around it. And next thing, sun has got spots on itself, and these spots moved, which shows that the sun also moves like how earth revolves. Next, these are the 2 important discoveries. Next, who is this person? Copernicus, right? He had already, in 50 years back, he had already found this theory that earth revolved around the sun. Okay, after that Galileo improvised it. Next, this is the court. See, the church didn't believe it, and they brought Galileo to the court. They told that you're a non-believer. Okay, he informed that you're a non-believer, and he was sent into prison. And then last, what happened? In the 20th century, several popes acknowledged the great work of Galileo. Till here we learned. Okay, so this is the entire chapter. Hope you all got a complete understanding of this chapter. It's very interesting, children, and you are done. Thank you. See you all for the virtual tour through Zoom on 23/12/2020 Wednesday. So please be present. The attendance will be taken, and meet you all there. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you.